couldn't be prouder to have this situation going on tonight before the 4th of July. My name is Don Weaver. I'm the president of the Fairlee Historical Society. And I'm honored and pleased to introduce to you our tonight's speaker, RonSuskind. Many of you may know Ron by virtue of the fact his wife and 2 sons lived at Lake Morgan and have for 20-some years. And I hope you don't mind my looking at my crib sheets, because I got a lot of stuff here on this man. Highlighting some of his major accomplishments. Ron is a journalist, author, and Emmy Award-winning filmmaker. He was a senior national affairs writer for the Wall Street Journal. He won the Pulitzer Prize in 1995 as a feature writer. Ron is a New York Times bestseller list author, having written 6 books at least. He is a distinguished scholar at Dartmouth College. He is also been a lecturer at Harvard Law School. Tonight's topic will be the significance of the 250th. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce RonSuskind.
Thank you, Don. 22 years we've been on the lake. I think I've seen just about everybody in this room. So this is going to be fun because, you know, what I've been doing, Don laid that out. I say still a disappointment to my mother who wanted law school. But no law school for me. Journalism. Because I am insanely interested in, well, these 2 big principles. Informed consent and holding the powerful accountable. It allowed me to preserve adolescent rebellion through my entire life, which is kind of nice. This is a day to celebrate. I mean, the thing about what you do when you write a book or you do journalism is it's mostly about context. You know, a thing breaks, there's some news, whatever. But then what you write is the rest. What it means, how people react, the larger scope of things that this fits within. Context is everything. What's the context here? 250. I mean, we look, first off, I think we look great for 250. You don't look a day over 249. Tonight, in 6 hours, we will cross into 250, and that's huge. The other countries are bigger and longer. I mean, they've got histories that go back before, God knows, the dawns of time. Egypt, Britain. I mean, my God, the Magna Carta is in 1219. But we are new. And also, we're different in that we get invented.
Yeah.
We have a point of birth. They don't. The rest of the world, for the most part, live in countries designated, framed, bordered in various ways by history, by ethnicity, often by race. For us, it's an idea, an extraordinary idea. And what we're celebrating tonight, in a way, is the birth of that idea at the heart of this nation. I mean, I am not overstating it, which I have been accused of from time to time, by saying the world begins at this moment. I would say what Jefferson writes in that key paragraph, not the first one, the second paragraph, are the most important words anyone has ever written. Certainly in the English language, maybe any language. And that happens at point of birth. So we're going to talk birth. And if you talk birth, you will also talk creation. And I guess parentage. That means founding fathers and mothers. The mothers are not getting their due credit here. to pick one person to join me on the stage, it would definitely be Abigail Adams. Oh my God. John was a smart guy. Abigail Adams was a genius. And we'll hear from her. I grabbed a couple quotes here, directly from the lips of some of our heroes. So tonight at midnight, and it's when we do birthdays, right? It'll happen. It'll be our day. Now we're going to do a little birthday celebrating here. Okay, now it's a little tricky when it's a country, but at the end we're going to sing, so get ready for that. I want you to be surprised. It's not a lot of singing, and there'll be no solos, by the way. We're going to sing. So celebrating not only this extraordinary country based on an idea, a flow of creeds. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal, endowed and created with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. At the time this is written, it is a world of kings. There are no democracies, nothing like this. It is the rule of the sovereign, the king. And even with the Brits, even though they like to say otherwise. Yeah, they had a parliament. They had a House of Lords. Who were the lords? There were viscounts and earls. They were all in the club. And they could veto anything that the House of Commons, the one, let's say, democratic body in England, proposed. No. There were no democracies. And then there was this moment. So we're going to go back in talking about birth to some of the parentage, some of the points 250 years ago that we celebrate tonight at midnight. We're going to jump back 250 years, quarter millennium. We're in Philadelphia. Jefferson is sitting in a little brick box, 2 stories, near the City Hall, Convention Hall, basically. At this point, June 1776, we're basically at war for a year plus with the ruler, England, the empire. We're part of it. Starts obviously, conquered Lexington, April 19th, 1775, shot heard around the world. It's a little confusing where that shot was first fired. Lexington, there was no shot from an American as far as we know. It was from a British gun. Those poor guys were slaughtered. But then the word is out. People start coming from the hills, from Acton and Sudbury, all around. By the time 700 British regulars make it to the bridge at Concord, they are faced with a real army. Now, that was what they were called. Look, a lot of history gets fictionalized because it works better. Okay? The British are coming, big. That's not what they said. It was the regulars are coming, which sounds kind of like a laxative ad you hear on Jeopardy. Isn't it terrible? We watch Jeopardy. It's all ads for old people. But we're regular. What can I say? The regulars are coming. Now the regulars are the army of the greatest empire the world had yet known. That British Army and the British Navy, well, they ruled significantly across the world. The idea of the sun never setting in the British Empire, they're moving toward that. Just to set the scene, the table for our creation. The British had had a rough go in the 7 Years' War in the 1750s and the 60s. They won against the French and the Indians and enormous amounts of land on the continent, more than they can handle. But they also were deeply in debt, profoundly in debt. Makes our debt look like a walk in the park. And so they're taxing at a very high level everyone in England. And decide they want to tax the rather prosperous colonies as well. What's happening at that point, though? The colonies were like separate little worlds. Each one of the colonies had their own government. They basically had their own laws. They had some representative bodies. And actually, they were being suffused by ideas, extraordinary ideas that were flourishing at this point all through the world. John Locke, in days when a philosopher could be kind of a rock star, I envy that. He was powerful in his influence. All the founders read Locke. They also were reading Aristotle, Cicero, Montesquieu, Rousseau. They were big fans of the Greeks. They basically could recite Plato's Republic to you, letter and verse. They also were some of the wealthiest men in America, mind you. Okay? Let's be clear about that. And half the folks who signed the Constitution are slave owners. But they were suffused with extraordinary ideals, something titanic. This notion of the people being the sovereign. Now, the sovereign's an old world term. The sovereign is the king. That's its usage. Dead, in a way, since. And they're saying the people are sovereign in this new kind of government, a new kind of way of being that we are going to now, well, invent. The people are sovereign. Wow. King to people. Now, it's interesting because when you go back and you see some of these bold ideas, we have to walk forward, and we will, to say, you know, who were those folks? All those folks created equal and granted the rights to vote. Now, there was a thing of white property owners. So, I wouldn't have been able to vote until I bought the house in Fairlee, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, we did own one in Washington.
Yeah.
No women, certainly, basically no one of color, Native Americans, blacks. No one could do no property. All that would change over the long span of our life, the life of the country. But Jefferson sits there on June 11th. June 11th, he has to start writing. Now, I'm imagining Jefferson as a writer. He's a kindred of mine. He has got until the 17th to deliver. What? 17 days. To the 28th, excuse me. He's got 17 days to deliver the draft of the Constitution. Now, he's got other people jumping in to help him. But just think of God, thank God he didn't have writer's block. Plus, the pressure's on. I mean, starting that year, Patrick Henry pops up with extraordinary writings where Henry, well, we know all the people talking at this point, all through the colonies, there is frisson. It's beautiful frisson as to the ideas of liberty. The ideas of breaking free from England. Let's just look at some of what is being said that sets the table for our friend Jefferson. And look, this is going to be a little bit of a talk about Tom and Abe's excellent invention. We get the Lincoln eventually. Let's just set the table as to what is flowing in the months before Jefferson sits late at night, hopped up on tea, going, what's the right word? What's the right word? Because history rests on this, truly. And look at any word of that extraordinary sense. Had any word been changed, I think the consequences would have been vast. Even one word. Mark Twain has a great line that besets writers. He says the difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bug. Thinking of that at 3 in the morning going, oh, I need sleep. And boy, talk about lightning. Twain's got that right. So what's happening? Well, you've got, after Concord and Lexington, pretty much full warfare in the United States. Washington has his troops. Well, they assemble. We live at Harvard Street in Cambridge, right in the Cambridge Common, right in front of us. Pretty much a ragtag bunch. That happens a few months after Concord and Lexington. They're up against an extraordinary army that's growing. We're moving through the early part of the year, and Tom Paine, who just is quite something, in January, writes, in Common Sense, about the promise of an independent republic. Writing in plain, accessible language, he says reconciliation is impossible. He condemns the British monarchy, hereditary rule, as simply unnatural. And he urges the colonists to unite to form an independent, egalitarian republic. Okay? That's part of what Jefferson has sitting with him. Abigail Adams, in March of that year, writes, John Adams, her husband, they spent a lot of time apart. So one of the great gifts to history is their correspondence. It's unbelievable. You see a world, what they said to each other. I would say my wife's the only person I can trust, truly. She'll tell me all the things, even things maybe I at least want to hear. And I love her for that. It's an extraordinary marriage history. And she writes to her husband, remember the ladies. She knows what's happening. They're about to write a Declaration of Independence. Big ideas, all the big ones are going to be in there. She says specifically, and I quote, if particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will hold ourselves bound, not in any way, by the laws in which we have no voice or representation. Wow. Revolution. She doesn't get satisfaction, as you know, in the writing of the document. But you see the principles. All men are created equal. How about us? June 11th is decided. The draft needs to be written. Jefferson holds up. There are 5 people who are here to help him. And you got 2 terrific players. Not just John Adams, but also Benjamin Franklin. I mean, it's an extraordinary gathering of people at this point in history that make this invention occur. In a way, it also speaks to compromise. 2 are from New England, Adams and Roger Sherman in Connecticut. 2 are men from the middle colonies, Franklin of Pennsylvania and Livingston of New York, and 1 Southerner, Jefferson of Virginia. You see this all the way through, not just parts of the Declaration, but even more in the Constitution. It's all about compromise. The entire country is based on compromise. But Jefferson's the draftsman because they know he's brilliant with language. He's a terrible speaker, by the way. which he says all the time. Don't get me in front of a crowd. Let me sit in my study. That's what he does. The contradictions are acute. Serving him in that study on Market Street, it's Robert Hemings. Now, he is the older half-brother of Sally Hemings. Their father is Jefferson's father-in-law. That's how they end up being also the half-sibling to Jefferson's wife. Ultimately, Robert is freed by Jefferson, but only one other next to him. The man who writes for the world, all men equal. Contradictions that run to the foundation of the country. Franklin and Adams look at a final draft. Franklin is a unique character. He not only is an inventor, in his invention with his kite, is extraordinary. The lightning rod. Doesn't seem like much to us now. It saves thousands of buildings across the world from burning from lightning. He's hailed across the world. Before that, at the age of 14, he basically was publishing a newspaper. A brilliant master of language. Jefferson proudly offers the draft. Every word is carefully chosen, he tells both of them. We hold these truths to be sacred and indisputable, that all men are created equal. Franklin, 70 years old at this point. Jefferson's 33. Says, Now Franklin's got glasses, so I can do it. He's got bifocals, he invented it, of course. I'm graced by it. That's not going to work. And he says gently, to Jefferson, as a good editor will. He knows how each word is often prized by the writer. Sacred bespeaks God. You know, the whole thing is built on freedom of religion, after all. And actually, the whole concept is built on something else. Natural rights. The gift of God. Natural. To man. It's the big idea. It comes from Locke. These are things graced by natural rights. Life, liberty, and property is what they say. Life and liberty, all of us equal. What they're very interested in, these scholars who found the country, are enlivened by Euclid. Euclid. Remember him? Showing hands? Got some back here. I think probably engineers, yeah, right. Father of geometry, great mathematician 2,000 years ago. They all read Euclid's common notions. These were common notions that are foundations of mathematics, including a first common notion, that things that are equal to the same thing are equal to each other. Now, if you saw the movie Lincoln, I'm sure you all saw that. And they had that in there. Lincoln says this. He wants to echo back, and they want you to echo back to what creates the key document. These things are self-evident, Euclid writes. Clear. If I am equal to this thing as you are, then we will be equal to each other. If we can do this thing, you and I, both the same, we are thereby equal. So that opens up a whole planet, really. Well, I can do that too. You can. So there you got it. Equal. Equal to the same thing, equal to each other. I just wish I was there. As Jefferson goes, self-evident. I said it to my writer friends, and I say it to the editors too. Every writer needs an editor. That's the way it works. All my books and all my articles. Often I'm writing for the editor, because I know that they're going to be there with a critical eye. And a shared purpose to make the thing we're producing absolutely utmost. Self-evident. Oh. Imagine if this extraordinary line had God in it. The whole thing gets messed up. Which God? Your God? My God? Where are we going there? No. We hold these truths to be self-evident and so changed. Then it goes to 56 members of the Second Continental Congress. Talk about a nightmare for a writer. Now I got 56 editors arguing, yelling at each other. But it makes it through. It makes it through to the document that we know. Mostly, it's a document with an extraordinary first paragraph that all of us know at least some of. I think it's my obligation now to actually read it. It's quick. I timed it 36 seconds. Bear with me. But it's important to read it. And what follows this preamble, this opening, are all the grievances, the sins of the king. Now, mind you how clever this was. They're not blaming Parliament. They're blaming the king. Because they're saying, your whole idea of having anything other than a king in charge is basically bullshit. All right? The king is the problem. So all the grievances are listed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. There it is. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to then seem most likely to affect their safety and their happiness. I mean, how many contracts have you received with the word happiness in it? None of any. He's got it in twice. Happiness. Not property. Happiness. Pursuit of happiness. Again, worlds open up around that phrase. And it goes around suffering things that are sufferable, and that we have to now say sayonara to the king. Rest in freedom. It's affirmed on the 4th of July. It actually is affirmed 2 days before, but it's kind of affirmed properly on the 4th. And the document's probably. That's why the 4th is the day. John Adams thought the 2nd would be the day. Probably Abigail corrected him on that. It's a being the 4th. Now they don't have any like Kinkos there. So they got to do some fast work. And the great copies, broadsheets, and they get them out as fast as they can, which means as fast as a horse can move. The first time it's read to the public is in Philadelphia on July 8th. And people cheer. I would submit they only heard the first sentence. But that was enough. And then it's read what do? His army. They rushed down to Bowling Green. Enraged, they pulled down a gigantic statue of King George. And they melted into 42,306 bullets. Wow. Can you imagine that on Instagram? That would definitely go viral. And then the war is underway. It's a perfect move of transition. You've declared your independence. We have. You're now a nation. You're free of kings. Reversing history's flow of power. Top down for my subject. I understand lock and property, I get that. Most people were living in the property of a king, or of friends of the king. That was their life. In a way, you're somewhat indentured thereby, aren't you? So it's their property. Jefferson took it, lifted it. Something bigger than that. There it is, in a moment. And we fight. We fight for years. War goes all the way until 1781, before the British surrender, Yorktown. Then we have another 6 years of something called the Articles of Confederation, which were basically a mess. Because each of these states kind of had their own government. They didn't want to kind of work together. There's nothing that could bind them. What ultimately brings them together? My friends on Wall Street love this one. The unbelievable debts each of these states had incurred during the Revolution. You had that great genius, Alexander Hamilton, wanting centralized power. Saying, okay, everybody, you're all in duck soup right now. The United States government will assume these debts. We also need to assume the power to tax. We also need to create a model of full faith and credit in the United States so we can work among nations to borrow money, to have veracity in the place of the world as a nation. That's what brings them together. We've got the Constitution. Now, I'm not going to do a whole Constitution here, because we'll be here all night. It goes on, they argue, they fuss, they fight. It's extraordinary. It separates powers. You know all that. You learned it in civics in 8th grade. And that was important. The whole idea was to limit powers, to not have them too concentrated in any one part of the government. They saw what that looked like. Federalist 51, the great debates that go on during the battle to ratify the Constitution. They set up the government where ambition will counteract ambition. Madison, 51, brilliant. To create a kind of balance. I am the Supreme Court. You are the Congress. I am the executive. We will push against each other. In a way, we check each other. We create balance. Euclid. If I had a good copyright on Euclid, we'd all be rich right now. And the Constitution is finally approved. Full of flaws. Obviously, we know the big one. Can't solve slavery. 3/5 of a person. And it just troubles everything. Decade after decade. Right after Dred Scott, basically, a black person's not even considered a human. That one line. All men are created equal. It has power. It keeps flowing through people, through their lives. Let's Abigail Adams saying all men and women. Bingo! Elizabeth Cady Stanton, 1848, Seneca Falls. All men and women are created equal. The start of the suffragette movement. There it is. Frederick Douglass, in an extraordinary, I mean, you can't place a list of great Americans anywhere without Douglass. He stands tall. Let's go to the 4th of July, 1852. Famous address. What to the slave is the 4th of July? He praises the Founding Fathers and their, quote, great deeds and fundamental ideals of the Declaration of Independence. However, he also powerfully highlights the deep hypocrisy of a nation that claimed all men are created equal while holding over 3 million black people in slavery. He doesn't reject the founding promise of equality. Douglass views it as a moral standard that must be applied to all people. Of course, he's been a free man since 1838. Probably the great orator of the century. He emphasized the America's founding documents were intended to be, well, a stumbling block to slavery. And he continually challenges the country to fulfill these ideas so everyone could enjoy the same rights and freedoms. And we're just a few years away from Abraham Lincoln. That's where we bring it home. You know, Lincoln just revered Jefferson. He says in several places, all honor to Jefferson for giving us that sentence. Lincoln, the great craftsman of language, will change us. But here he is at Gettysburg. 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation is that January, that year. And all sorts of reasons he pushes that forward. You read about it in 1,000 Civil War renderings. But here he is at Gettysburg, 7,000 dead Union soldiers. The bloodiest battle ever to occur on the North American continent. 3 days, 55,000 casualties. 55,000. In a country at this point, during the Declaration of Independence, were 2.5 million people, the British are 8 million, and 700,000 of those in the United States or in the America are slaves. Jump ahead. At Gettysburg, it's 30 million. 4 million, give or take, slavery. And Lincoln is very clear. That is what this Civil War is over. Look, every one of the documents of all the southern states say it, in terms of them pulling out of the Union, because that's why they're doing it. But Lincoln brings it all together. He jumps over the Constitution with all its compromises. As he stands at Gettysburg, 272 words. 87 years ago. 87 years. May I ask, is anyone here 87 or older? Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Okay. John is 36. Okay, we got a bunch. That means your lifetime. I mean, Lincoln is standing there, only your lifetime away from Jefferson. That's how close it is. Beginning of World War II. My father fought in that. This is not past history, this is living history. 7 years ago, Lincoln matches Jefferson. The word can change the world. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. proposition. Cornelia and I were talking about this the other night. She says, you propose, I accept. Proposition. You may accept this. Be welcome. You agree? I mean, he gives it that conditionality. The proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We're on a great battlefield of that work. We're here to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who gave their lives that that nation might live. Because it might not. It could have been DOA in 87. And a lot of you are going to live a lot longer than that, so let's just leave it at that. 87, that could have been it. We were close. What happened? Day 2 of Gettysburg on Little Round Top. Could have gone either way. All right, fitting and proper, we knew this was success. And he goes into his yet but. But in the larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot honor this ground. The brave men who struggled here have consecrated far beyond our power to add or detract. The world will little note or won't remember what we say here, but they can never forget what they did here when that say here that he was wrong. The only thing that's wrong. It's humbling. We say here won't matter. Of course it does. And then he gets to the key paragraph, which is really a match. A beautiful, beautiful match to our friend Thomas. And you know, I could recite it, but I very much want to get it just so. Because every word of what Lincoln says echoes profoundly into the soul. You know, I know by heart. Because it is rather for us here to dedicate ourselves to the work that these people so nobly advanced. It's rather for us here to draw increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the full measure of devotion. And to fervently declare that these men shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom. And that government of the people, by the people, for the people. It is, shall not perish from the earth, though it was about to. Look at what that says for us. It says, be here. Join me and sacrifice in correcting the fundamental flaw in those holy documents. Jefferson would have said yes. I mean, Jefferson, in 1,000 ways, says slavery is an abomination, on and on. I mean, you can say it more times, though he's got 619 slaves in his life. With Lincoln at Gettysburg, he's saying, I'm going to lead us, lead you, speak to the correction, that change. And what's beautiful about it is the word rebirth. Freedom is born. The concept, the nation. On July the 4th, 1776. But there are rebirths of freedom. And right now he's saying a rebirth of freedom. for 3 or 4 million black people. That's a rebirth. We're rebirthing all the time. That's the idea. This doesn't stop. All those beautiful words at the top are part of rebirth, as they are granted to more people who say, yes, I'm different, but I deserve the unalienable rights. Please don't deny them to me. Rebirth. That's what it's about. The country's constantly rebirthing. So we celebrate today a birthday, but also a rebirthing that happens again and again. Some of it in our lifetime. Some of it we imagine for future generations as the country lives and lives. I think we'll make it to 500. Maybe 1,000. I'm hopeful. So let's hear it for that. The timing is right. We've got 10 minutes left. Just enough time to sing some songs. Okay. Now look, I did a little research here. Now, for country, we don't sing happy birthday because it doesn't work. We gift each other, that doesn't work. Happy birthday to you. So, but we do sing a kind of birthday song in America. We call them anthems. All right? And we have a whole bunch of them. And each of them have kind of histories inside of it that are really lovely. How these end up being the songs we sing about us and about this thing that changed the world. And I say change the world with numbers. 167 countries in the world, 108 of them are democracies. Look at that. We start where we're it in a world of kings, and now we're way past the middle. And they use the Declaration of Independence has been translated into just about every language on planet Earth many times. They hold it up. Us too. Boom. Tyrants hate it. That's good. Okay, so I thought about anthems. And I looked at the histories of some of them. And there are a couple that are out there. Now God Bless America has an interesting history. All of them do. It's written by a soldier from World War I, 1915 or so. He's in the barracks in upstate New York. They're putting on some kind of show. He's pretty gifted. His name is Israel Balin. He's a Russian immigrant. Okay? And some kind of show, they're going to raise money for something here. These are soldiers who are about to be, shipped over to the conflict. And he writes a song, but he thinks it's a little sad. Puts it in the suitcase. Goes about his business. 20 years pass. Now, at that point, since that first moment, radios arrived. Doesn't really arrive till the early 20s. Changes everything. First electronic media going out to the world. The star of that is a woman named Kate Smith. Sang to the troops of World War I on Armistice Day. She is going to sing something big, and think how crazy that is. I mean, before that, you had people and people gathering, maybe playing music, maybe talking to each other in a room like this.
Yeah.
With radio, the whole world could gather around a campfire. The whole country. So, in 1938, she says, I want a song that's really going to fire up the nation as to the greatness of America. We've come through the Depression, which is tough. Storm clouds are gathering in Europe of a war to come, a second war. So, she gets a phone call from Israel Balin. His name on some sheet music I changed about 20 years before. His first name's Irving now. You got to hold some of that back, you know, otherwise you're not going to win one. That's our relate. So I think I got one for you. He goes to the police, 20 years, dusts it off, pulls out Godless America. Sitting there for 20 years. Got to love that. They change a couple lines, including the one in the middle. Said beside he died in the night with the light from above. There was more of a religious line there before. And they changed that in case Smith sings it. And everyone sings it. And everyone loves it. Well, almost everyone. Woody Guthrie doesn't love it. So he writes his anthem. Said, I can't stand listening to that damn song anymore. You know Woody. You know that story. And he writes, this land is your land, this land is mine. Beautiful. Two anthems. Now, the three bigs, and by the way, Herbert Hoover was the one who decided in 1931 to say Star Spangled Banner will be our anthem. Because there were a lot competing for that big role. Fine. You know, the flags and waves. We're 1912. Okay. I'm not that crazy about it, to be frank. Doesn't have enough in it, kind of. But he decided, I know why he decided that. So you got Woody. Now you got a third. We're going to see one of these, by the way, so maybe you got suspense. America the Beautiful. Interesting. America the Beautiful is written, it's a poem written by a professor at Wellesley College. Way back in 1893. It sits around for quite a while. Anybody know about her and her life, her history? Pretty interesting. Catherine Lee Bates is her name, and she's an English professor. I happen to like English professors, and she's one. And at this point, and of course, you know, women don't get the right to vote until 1920, but there's movement, because women are often leaders of moral crusades in America through the 19th century. They believed that they were morally superior to men. Can we have a vote on that? No, we don't want to vote on that. Except for that, and she's moved. She goes on a trip from Wellesley, choosing Wellesley. At that point, in the late 19th century, women were starting to get educated, even at a college level. And then you get the Seven Sister Schools get started in 1875. You know, Wellesley, then Smith, and others. I would bet you most of the women who went there were sent there by their mothers. They're going to Wellesley. They're going to learn like your brother. Harvard. Or Harvard. She writes a beautiful remnant. American Beautiful. So, which one do you want to go with? What's God Bless America or America the Beautiful? I think we should have what democracy is not a spectator sport. It's a participatory sport. So we're doing democracy here. Which way are we going? Let's see a show of hands for God Bless America. We can do them both. You want to do them both? Yeah. Okay, we have two winners, just like this everyone wins. Okay, now, I think most people know the words to both of them. But we do have song sheets, if anyone wants a song sheet. We have our friends in the back and pass them out. We're not going to sing, and after we sing, we're going to be done. We've got 2 minutes left. My wife said 7:30 is our deadline. We're going to be partying late. But we have a good 2 minutes. to sing these songs. Can I have one too? Now look, we're not singing all the verses of American Beautiful because we'll be here recording. But God Bless America is quick.
And then we'll sing it again. So we're going to do Oh Beautiful Herbaceous Skies, and we'll do For Pilgrims.